Hey guys, it is Targon here doing a Raid Shadow Legends video, and today I'm doing a follow-up video on the one I did last week on champion hoarding. And the purpose of today's video is to really just get down and explore some of the rare champions in game, because I think that's where people initially get really caught up is when you're first starting out. It's like, oh, I got this new rare. And when we first start out, the rares are like the legendary of early game, right? You only have so many green shards, and you're pulling your green shards and a blue pops up. It's like, yeah! All right. Um, but a lot of times you can really, most rares you're going to get upgrades for. There's very few rares that I would say you have to have. And really it's just two that I can think of that I'm like, yes, you want this champion. And then there's a few others that it's like in certain circumstances with the right team composition, you're going to want that particular rare champion. Other than that, really the only thing that they're doing for you is they're there to help you progress and then be used as food for the epics and the legendaries that you are going to be using a lot longer into the game, okay? So just because a rare is helping you in the moment, don't get attached, okay? You can get rid of them. It's better to get rid of them in many circumstances, all right? So as I'm doing more account takeovers, and even as I've looked back on my own game, I did this. I hoarded all these rares at first, and then I had to go through and get rid of them. So let's go ahead and take a look. So I'm going to start with the top two rares in the game that I would say you definitely want these. There's one that I'm still using. I kind of graduated on from this other one, but really, realistically, still very good. Top tier, almost legendary level. Maybe not quite with Apothecary. Apothecary is one of those rares you want to have him. Okay, he's increasing your speed. He's boosting your turn meter. He is making sure that you move faster. He's got it on a 3-turn cooldown. He has this huge heal that can be critical, single target, but still, like, man, you can put him in like a relentless set and just have him go, and he's healing you up. He's keeping you moving. Your guys are just running circles around the enemies. He's got a triple hitter on his A1, which is great for Fire Knight. He's a really good Fire Knight champion. I was using him on my main account for Fire Knight up until just maybe 6 months ago or so. I think I started switching out. Maybe it wasn't even 6 months ago. I started using other champions instead, but he's a very good Fire Knight champion. And just great overall champion. You can use him really everywhere. So Apothecary is like a must-have. And then the other one is Cold Heart. She's got this huge nuke. If you don't know about Cold Heart, just look at some of my videos with Fire Knight and with Spider. You'll see the insane amounts of damage that she's able to do. She is critical for those two dungeons specifically. I use her all the time. I use multiple Cold Hearts in both Spider and in Fire Knight. All right. So she is just a fantastic champion, mostly just from this one skill. Brings a heal reduction as well, which especially early on in Fire Knight can be good if you're not getting enough turns. She's notoriously squishy, but still a very great champion. I'd say if you can get 4 of her and you want to level all 4 of them up, you can use 4 of her on certain runs. On Spider 20, you could do you could run you need a drop defense and a weakened person like a Thane or like Lydia, and then you can just have 4 Cold Hearts and it's just boom dead. So up to 4 Cold Hearts. All right, so that is it in terms of like the gotta have them champions. So now I'm going to go over some of the ones where they can be really good in certain circumstances. And I think it's just a handful. We'll go back to High Elves. Eris, okay? Eris is really good specific. She is a very good rare champion. She cleanses one debuff and puts this increased speed on. This is actually a really good skill. The rest of her kit is kind of eh. But this one skill allows her to be plugged into some specific clan boss teams. Some of the Demitha comps, I did a video where I run Demitha and Eris together, and you'll need one other. There's a couple other champions that you can use for their speed aura to get that comp going at the speed where you're blocking the damage. It becomes full unkillable, and you're using Eris to cleanse the stun and give increased speed to everybody. So she can be very, very good in certain circumstances. Let me see, I think, was there anyone in Sacred Order? Templar. Templar can be very good in certain circumstances. Really, the only one circumstance is for Bommel. He can solo Bommel on hard. I don't remember if he can do the top level on hard, but he can get up there. Now, the stats for that are pretty crazy. And probably by the time you get there, you're going to have some other options that might be able to do it better, but Templar is an option. So, worth keeping that in mind, but still, in general, that's a really hard build. So early game, if you've got a whole bunch of Templars, like, yeah, go ahead, use them as food. There's one really good champion here for the Ogrims, and that is Bellower. Bellower is very good in terms of farming campaign. He has all AoE attacks. He brings a small version of the decreased attack and decreased defense on one skill, so that's really helpful for progression. He also brings a small version of decreased speed, so this is going to really help you progress. But even unless you get another campaign farmer, he's one of the best campaign farmers in game. On my main account, I still use him to farm campaign. Can do it in like 7 to 8 seconds on a good run. Okay, really good champion. He also has a chance to block active skills, which is pretty nuts. I mean, he is a very, very good rare champion. And he'll help out a lot on your faction wars as well. One thing you can do, because he has all the AoE attacks, you can put him in a stun set to help progress through dungeons for crowd control. So he's an excellent progression champion, but even late game, end game, great for farming campaign. But there's other champions that can do that. But if you don't have those other champions, definitely consider Bellower. Let's see, where's some of the others? I think it's just... So another kind of circumstantial one is going to be Renegade. Now, Renegade I also use on my main account, specifically in Hydra. I don't have Prince Kymar, but having her skill that decreases cooldowns really helps me out because I'm using Trunda and Lydia, where Lydia's putting, drop defense and weaken, and then Trunda's doing her big boom. And so having someone that can reduce the cooldowns and keep those skills cycling through that much quicker is really, really helpful. So Renegade is great for that. Also brings a small decreased speed. It's kind of nice. But really it's just that one skill. Another one similar to her is Painkeeper. And Painkeeper reduces your cooldowns by 1. She also has a heal, an AoE heal. Not a whole lot, but it's something. So that can be helpful in progression. But really, this skill, when combined with Man-Eater, can be used to make a budget unkillable team. So I definitely recommend keeping a Painkeeper in your vault, even if you don't have Man-Eater. If you don't have other unkillable options for Clan Boss, but you do have Painkeeper, hold on to her because she's Void, so she's harder to get, but also once you get the right champions to pair her with, then you can have an unkillable team. Paragon is another one that in certain circumstances can be good. He can place an unkillable buff on one person. If you can get him to do this on himself and get the enemies to target him, then he's alive. He does help out a ton in terms of being able to clear the last level on Nightmare Campaign where the boss can one-shot pretty much everybody. Let's see, so that is him. Who else? Oh, come on. So this guy can do a increased duration of your buffs, which can be helpful in certain circumstances. I've seen him used in Clan Boss for some pretty good damage output, but there's also some epic champions that can do it. This guy does have a chance to put the weaker version of Weaken up, which is nice, but you know, there's usually you've got other options that can be used instead. Fellhound is another amazing campaign farmer. I think, from what I've gathered, actually the fastest campaign farmer, just because the animation is so quick. But Fellhound can be a really good champion if you get him early on. But again, really it's just for farming campaign for the most part. There's other champions that can do that. And why did it do that? Sorry, oh, Frozen Banshee is a very good rare champion damage dealer, especially for Clan Boss. She does the poison sensitivity, and then she can place poisons on the target, so that's going to do a lot of damage. So especially early on in Clan Boss, but even later on, if you don't have some of the really, really great damage dealers, she can be pretty good, depending on your setup. Doom Screech can be used as like a bit to help with buffing and speeding you up a little bit, but not necessarily the greatest. And let's see here. Do we have? Is there anyone? I think that's it. Is there something? No, I looked at High House. Who is the other one? No, Reliquary Tender is another one. Okay, that's who I was looking for. Reliquary Tender. If you do not have a cleanser, she can be a very good cleanser for you. Removes all debuffs from all allies. Puts a continuous heal on for 2 turns. This can be really helpful in certain situations where you're getting a bunch of buffs put on you, especially some of the Doom Tower. So one of the spider boss in Doom Tower puts a whole bunch of poisons on you. So having her be able to cleanse that off is good. She also can revive an ally, which helps out. I mean, it's not the greatest revive in the world, but it can help. So that's it. There are a few champions, and I'll just cover real quick a few that I use to help me with progression. Now, early on, you're going to have your starter champion. Probably worth taking them to level 60 unless you get a better campaign farmer earlier on. And even then, I'd say, I mean, depending on who the campaign farmer is, but like if, Kale can be really good, especially like for helping out early on with Dragon and Clan Boss with his poisons. Gaelic can help with the decreased defense and so forth. So those champions can be good early on. So if you've got them and you don't have someone better for farming campaign, go ahead and take them to 60. It's worth it because you want to be able to farm stage 12-3 campaign on brutal as quickly as possible because that's how you're going to level up the rest of your champions. Okay. So besides them, so if some of the rares, they can be good. Look at their kits. I have not used all of them. So early on, you can use some rares for progression, but really I would say probably outside of the ones that I've already talked about, I wouldn't really recommend taking any of them to 60. But you can level them up to 40, and then when you're not using them anymore, rank them up to 5 and use them as a chicken. Maybe you can take them up to 50. But really, in general, you're going to be getting better champions than these guys. So they're there to kind of help you get to a certain point, and then you don't need them anymore. All right. But Chevalier is one that I used. He helped me out, especially in Fire Knight. He has a double hit on his A1, and he brings increased defense and continuous heal, which helps keep me alive. Single target stun is also kind of nice. So he's a good one. Dagger can be another one. She has this AoE decreased defense, and she's void, which means that she's going to have an easier time. She's not going to have to. You're not going to have to worry about the weak hits. She also has a single target decreased attack, and she can drop turn meter a little bit, so that can help you with like Fire Knight again. Let's see, who else? Who else? Draconis can be good because he has a shield and healing, so he can help keep you alive. Might even be worth taking to 60 early on if you don't have other protection champions, because he does the shield thing fairly well, and he does the heal thing fairly well. So those, it might be worth considering taking him to 60, maybe. Another one, early game, War Maiden in Barbarians. She has the AoE drop defense. Decreasing defense is going to help you get through content so much quicker. It's such an important thing to have, especially AoE. And she does that. She also, oh no, that's an increased attack. Yeah, so she'll be dropping the defense on everybody. Has a 100% chance to do it. This is a great skill. She's squishy, but if you have some champions that can keep her alive, definitely worth considering taking her to 60. Let me just scroll through real quick. I don't think there was really anybody, not really anybody in the orcs that I've used. Gnarlhorn can be good in terms of progression. He provokes everybody. He can place an unkillable on himself. So that can help, like, if you're having trouble getting through certain elements in the dungeons and so forth with the waves. Having him in can really be helpful, especially you got someone to heal him afterwards. Panthera can be really good for Fire Knight just because she brings this heal reduction, and she has a triple hit on her A1, which helps taking down his shield. So if you're struggling with Fire Knight, she can be good, but ultimately you're going to get better champions to replace her. So if you can, I wouldn't take her necessarily past 40 or maybe 50. I guess if you really need an HP reduction and you don't have anybody else that you'd rather upgrade, she might be worth upgrading as well. Lizardman, Metal Shaper can be good in terms of he's got a shield on a 2-turn cooldown, so this will keep a shield up, but it's not a very good shield. Has a heal and a cleanse, so can be helpful for progression, but not necessarily the greatest. Forgot Muckstalker with the new dungeon, the Sand Devil, placing the sleep. This champion can be very, very good. So I would recommend getting this champion. But that's kind of more of a higher level dungeon, so you're not necessarily going to be doing that as much early game. And let's see, is there anyone else in the ogres? I don't think so. Nobody that I've used again. So, look at the skills and see what can be useful. But really, in general, if you get rid of any of these other rares, you're going to get them again. I promise you, you will get these rares again. Even the voids, eventually, you're gonna cycle back through them. But so kind of the whole point of this is just so you know which ones you wanna make sure you're holding on to. The few that are really, really good. I think that's it. There's a couple dwarves that are kind of interesting, and I can see where they might help. Runic Warder could be good for Fire Knight. He's got a double hit. He's got a reflect. So he can be helpful for progression. Dilgul has a decreased accuracy, which is nice. Also has the decreased defense, but that's a single target. So can be useful, but really, for the most part, I'd say all these other champions, you can use them. They're better serving you as food. Once you get past that early stage and you're able to start working towards the dungeons, you're going to be starting to get more epic champions, and you're going to want to level those, and you're going to get some legendary champions, and you're going to want to level those. Leveling up rares, if you have a whole bunch of rares at 40 or 50, they're taking space, and you can use them to level up your other champions that you're going to use a lot longer into the game. All right, so hope this video is helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions. If you're struggling in certain areas and like what rares might be helpful for me here, I'd be glad to take a look at it. Um, just drop it in the comments, and that's really the best way to just you can try and evaluate the champions for yourself. The purpose of this was, other than the ones I highlighted, I would say just get rid of them. Just get rid of them. You're not going to need them. I know that you want to get through faction wars and so forth, but honestly, you're better off in faction wars with 2 people at 60 who are pulling all your food champions through than you are with a team full of 5 champions at level 40 or 50. And are having a hard time getting through. All right, you'll be able to do just as much content with 260s in most cases. All right, so hope you enjoyed the video. Hope this helps you not to get stuck in that champion hoarding mindset. If you're not sure you're going to be using it, just get rid of it. It's a rare. You're going to get them. You start collecting so many of these ancient shards, you're going to get plenty. You're going to get plenty of rares. All right. So thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe and comment, and I will catch you at the next video.